Albuquerque Police Chief Harold Medina was praised by the mayor after he heard gunshots, ran a red light, and slammed into a vintage Mustang.
Tonight in a Target 7 investigation, we are learning that some say officers have been fired for doing something like this. Here's John Cardinelli.
The man who was driving that Mustang suffered serious injuries, and Medina has ordered an internal affairs investigation into his conduct. For years, the police department has been scrutinized for crashes that have killed and seriously injured innocent people. This police officer was rushing with lights and sirens to a call of a man armed with a machete when a car pulled out in front of him. This boy died in the crash. The city fired the officer and paid $3 million in a civil suit. This Air Force vet was killed when another Albuquerque police officer ran a red light on the west side, crashing into her vehicle. The city paid $8 million to her family, and the officer went to jail. And this is Chief Harold Medina's Ford truck after his crash. Tom Grover is an attorney who frequently sues APD.
As I look at it, sort of sits in between. We have someone who's on duty and something has happened that's caused him to flee.
The city has said Medina was not on duty. However, he was checking out a homeless camp. A shot was fired.
I looked to my left and the intersection was cleared. And I thought that I had, the car was going to pass before I got there, and it did not, and unfortunately I struck a vehicle.
It's clear by the video that that wasn't the case. He cuts off a vehicle immediately that's westbound on Central. Had to slam on its brakes, you can see that. And then he bolts across what is potentially one of the busiest roadways in the state of New Mexico and broadsides a car.
Former Bernalillo County Sheriff Darren White was a fatal crash investigator when he was an Albuquerque police officer. He looked at these two angles of the crash and visited the location. He says the chief panicked.
I just look at this crash and something says to me the chief was not looking. He was distracted by something, and I don't mean the shooting, because let's face it, he's already across the intersection.
It was a Saturday, and the chief was en route to a news conference. He says he took his wife with him because they were going out to eat afterwards.
It's when we were driving down Central and I noticed that there could possibly be a homeless encampment.
The chief says he then took a detour, pulling up to the encampment, which he says was blocking the sidewalk. He says he was calling another officer to ask them to take care of the problem.
And Alvarado, I had a red light, and at the red light, I stopped and I was waiting for the light to turn green when my wife stated, look, those two homeless individuals are about to get into a fight. My wife stated, gun, gun. I looked up and I could hear that a shot had been fired, and I saw an individual that was holding a firearm, pointing it at another individual who was directly in line with my wife.
Then the crash happens. Here's what Mayor Keller said moments after he learned of the crash.
Whether it's our city or the individuals that he helped, or potentially the lives that he saved because of the shooting that was happening, we all owe him a debt of gratitude today and every day.
Others disagree.
And to say that, well, I had to get out of there and drive in a certain way because I was concerned about my wife is sort of putting yourself in self-induced jeopardy.
Grover is a former police officer and represents officers accused of violating department policy. He says from what he can see, there were numerous possible policy violations, and he's represented officers fired for similar conduct.
So there are policy violations in here, and all these policies are in place to keep these types of things from happening.
Grover went through what he called possible policy violations Medina might have committed.
To have the radio on and turn to the proper frequency for their locations. And something they shall not do is make emergency code runs while the vehicle is occupied by a non-sworn passenger. He didn't have emergency equipment activated. He didn't clear the intersection.
The police union acknowledges that Medina might have broken some department policies. However, they don't feel the chief did anything wrong given the circumstances. Medina has asked the superintendent of police reform to conduct an internal affairs investigation. That individual does not report to the chief. Grover and White said an outside agency should investigate the crash. That was done in at least one of the fatal crashes we showed you earlier. For Target 7, I'm John Cardinelli.
APD never responded after we asked to interview Chief Medina. Now, if you have any tips, call the Target 7 tip line at 505-884-6347 or email newstips@koat.com.